Hello and welcome to Turn 1 Soul Ring. It's time to get old school here on So You're Building, and there's no better commanders to do that with than the original Elder Dragons. This is So You're Building for Arcades Sabboth.
Looking at Arcades as he stares into your soul, one of his abilities jumps right out at me. No, it isn't the fact that we have to pay a tax on him every turn, it's that all of our untapped, non-attacking creatures get +0, +2. This is a great buffing effect, and because of it, I want to have a wall-based deck strategy. As they say, the best offense is a great defense, and this deck will take full advantage of that idea. So, what walls will we have in this deck? Well, how about a Sunscape Familiar and an Overgrown Battlement to start? Making things cheaper and ramping into more walls is a good start for this deck. Two walls to consider having as blockers are Fog Bank and Guard Gomazoa. Both of these creatures block all of the damage coming into them, and with some additional pieces can become invaluable creatures for this deck. Those pieces are Tetsuko Umezawa, Belligerent Brontodon, and Sidar Kondo. These three pieces are essentially making sure our walls can deal damage when we attack, and make sure that they can get through with said attacks. Think about it, most walls have ridiculous toughness numbers, some going past 10. So, what if we played a bunch of 0 power, high toughness creatures fairly cheaply and then could swing them in to deal a massive amount of damage? Brontodon makes sure we get to do their toughness as damage, Umezawa makes them unblockable, and Sidar Kondo just doubly makes sure that we encounter no blockers. Speaking of blocking, just mentioning a few more really good walls. Perimeter Captain makes sure we get rewarded for blocking. Wall of Denial will live up to its name, being a flyer, a 0/8, and having Shroud. And Hornet Nest, which we want to get indestructible on somehow, and then make sure people stay afraid of the swarm. Glancing away from permanents for a moment, let's talk field wipes. Surprisingly, at least to me, there are a lot of field wipes that support this deck. Slaughter the Strong will allow us to keep a large portion of our creatures. Veil the Mighty essentially makes our opponents say goodbye to all of their creatures. Wave of Reckoning gets rid of any big boys we may encounter, and my personal favorite field wipe for this deck, Dusk to Dawn. Not only does it get rid of a lot of creatures for us, but it gives us really good late game recursion should we find our walls crumbling into our graveyard. Focusing back on permanents for a moment, an artifact to definitely run in this deck is Meekstone, which gives us a control piece to work with, and gets pesky blockers out of the way when we finally swing in. Now, my favorite part, the enchantments for this deck that make it really special. The final piece that really starts this deck up is Rolling Stones, which allows our walls to attack. That's not the only great enchantment though. How do you feel about gaining 4 to 10 life per creature you play? If you feel great, then definitely throw in an Angelic Chorus. An additional card to think about is Brave the Sands, which gives us vigilance and allows us to block an additional creature each combat. If you don't think your walls are strong enough, buff them with a castle. Another card that enables our walls to attack and lets them assign damage via their toughness is Assault Formation, which is great for this deck and ensures we have an additional piece for that strategy. A more interesting piece for fortifying this deck is Fortified Area, which gives our walls +1, +0, and banding? I'll just leave you guys to make banding jokes in the comments below. The final two enchantments to consider are Propaganda and Ghostly Prison. These help our strategy because they make our opponents think twice about attacking us and make sure that we don't have to use as many of our walls to block. These should hit the field when we're attacking, and they almost act as an additional blocker for us.